right, and it looks like we're live. Welcome everybody to the final game from day 2 of the Battle at the Border tournament hosted by Landrum High School here in the Cage. I'd like to welcome everybody that joined us from Chapman's stream earlier today. We did the first 3 games over on that channel, doing the last one, the main event here between Landrum and Boiling Springs. On Landrum's channel, running a few analytic tests on our end to see if one channel consistently gets more or less views than the other, because right now they've been deadlocked. That's good information for us to have moving forward, not really going to affect any of our viewers as the season progresses. Now, this tournament has been quite a treat. The games have not quite been as close as they were yesterday, but the way they've shaken up the standings has been delightful to see once the buzzer goes off to end the 4th period each time. 3 games so far today. SCA took down Chapman at 10 a.m., then the 12:30 tip-off, Powdersville and Woodruff. Woodruff really laid it on Powdersville there at the end of the 4th period. Were able to put some valuable points toward their overall differential. And then at 3 p.m., Riverside absolutely laid into Chapman, won that game by 34 points. And the standings are as follows now. Earlier today, they were quite different. Unfortunately, I didn't save the original document. That is totally on me, so I can't compare them with any degree of efficiency to what they were this morning. But I can tell you that Riverside was number 2 going into today. They're now number 1, and they are cemented there, unless Woodruff is able to pull something out of the bag tomorrow. Riverside 2-0 so far. They've played 2 games, wins against Chapman and SCA. I keep on getting them mixed up. The problem is that there are too many teams wearing red and too many teams wearing blue. There aren't enough variations in color, so I get them mixed up easily. But Riverside 2-0, averaging their 2 wins coming by an average of 25 points. Their point differential so far through the tournament plus 50. Woodruff in the 2nd spot, 2-0 on the tournament with a point differential of plus 28. Moving down the line in 3rd place is SCA, Spartanburg Christian Academy. The Warriors sitting at 1-1 with a point differential of plus 6. Number 4, Powdersville, lost earlier today, was undefeated coming in. They sit at 1-1 with a point differential of negative 14 after losing to Woodruff. Then all the way down at number 5, Chapman. They played 2 games today, sitting at 1-2, entered 1-0 this morning. They are 1-2 with a point differential of negative 43 after that blowout loss to Riverside just a few hours ago. Then at number 6 and number 7, the 2 teams featured in today's main event. Boiling Springs 0-1 after a 16-point loss yesterday. It was a hard-fought and high-scoring loss too. Boiling Springs looking to bounce back, and they've definitely got a chance to do that against a Landrum team that lost their first 2 games yesterday, sitting at 0-2. But Landrum, especially on the defensive side of the ball, was very competitive in both of those games. Even though they've played twice and lost twice, their point differential only negative 13, losing by an average of 6.5. So they've definitely done a really good job of keeping things close moving forward, and it'll be interesting to see if they can keep up with this high-powered offense for Boiling Springs. I'd like to make a quick note. Only last names listed on the roster I received from Boiling Springs. Landrum has full names, Boiling Springs does not. I think the roster Hambone has first names. I'm not entirely sure. I'll keep an eye out for anything he says. Until then, though, just last names for Boiling Springs players. I'd also like to go ahead and take this moment to remind you that you all ought to subscribe to the Landrum Athletics channel. That way you will be notified every time we go live for a new stream. All right, so it looks like Hambone's roster does have first names. At least we've got those 5. We'll work on getting the other ones later.
Your Landrum Cardinals! At guard. 5'9" junior, number 24, Isaiah Washington. Zane. Another guard, 5'9" junior, number 1, Mason Reigns. Mason. Another guard, 6-foot sophomore, number 32, Marco Gonzalez. Marco. And it followed 6'1" senior. This kid. Number 3, Cooper. Gentry Cooper. And in center, our guardian in the middle, 6'4" junior, number 45, Ethan Dugat. Dugat. Cardinals were coached by Liam Smith, assisted by Paul Schuler. The Bulldogs head coach is Curtis Nance. So get ready. Bulldogs and the Cardinals in the cage.
One of these days I'll be able to get the colors on the scoreboard right. I've been wrong every time trying to guess these. Landrum is indeed in white. I figured Boiling Springs would be in red. They are in gray. Boiling Springs in gray. And getting started a few minutes early here, Marco Gonzalez tipping off against, that is Julius Camp, and this one goes in favor of Landrum. Start of the first period. It'll begin with Isaiah Washington sending it over to Ethan Dugat. Dugat finding Marco Gonzalez, and now Gonzalez gets to Gentry, and he gets it to Mason Reigns. So everybody's touched the ball for Landrum so far. Really just look like they're trying to find a three-point lane. Almost had the one there with Dugat. Couldn't quite get it going. Might have one with Reigns. They do. He goes for it, and he's got it. What a shot. Net barely even moved on that one. Mason Reigns taking the early lead for Landrum. Landrum bench fired up already. Boiling Springs passing it around some. Tough to read the numbers on those jerseys, but that looked like Julius Camp with the missed shot there, rebounded by Isaiah Washington. And Washington drives inside, gets it over to Reigns. Reigns looking for an open man. And Gentry got an open lane. This one just off the inside of the rim. He has had terrible luck with those, it seems. Yesterday, he had a bunch of three-pointers go off the inside of the rims. Ones that should have gone in. Just can't get that lucky break he needs. Boiling Springs able to tie it up there, 3-3. Isaiah Washington sends Reigns up. Now Reigns really right where Washington was. They just kind of switched places there. And not making a ton of progress inside on this possession. Ethan Dugat trying to find a man. And that one's stolen away. Pass was kind of slow. Khalil Brown able to take it away there. 6:16 left to go in the first period. We apologize for the inability to have a clock on the scoreboard today. We're a little short-handed staff-wise up in the booth. Boiling Springs not short-handed, though. I don't think either team's made any substitutions quite yet, but they've got at least 12 players on both sides, and Khalil Brown able to sink that one for Boiling Springs. 5 straight for the Bulldogs. Landrum trailing for the first time this game. Washington catches a block from Gentry, and the window closes off quickly. Gonzalez trying to get inside that three-point line, can't do it, gets it over to Washington. Washington moving some people around. Sends it inside to Gonzalez, inside again to Gentry. Back, oh, wide open is Dugat! Sinks the three-pointer! Beautiful design there by Landrum. Corey Johnson taking it down the court, gets it to Khalil Brown, and Khalil Brown sinks the long two-pointer. Boiling Springs right back out in front. 7-6 in favor of the Bulldogs with 5 minutes to play in the first. Isaiah Washington going inside, got the layup. Cardinals scanning the court. Tried to get it inside to Khalil Brown. That's going to be, wait, is it? No, scramble for the ball, and Boiling Springs able to hang on to it. And now Khalil Brown going for three, got it. Boiling Springs takes their first two-possession lead of the game. They're going to count that as a two-pointer, 10-8. Marco Gonzalez driving into, oh my! They say no to that one, blocked. Trying to get a number here. I believe that, and yes, Jacob Weber, number 15, blocking that shot. 4:23 to play in the first. Washington trying to find an open man. Gets it to Spencer Harmon, back to Washington now. Gonna drive inside, flips it over to Harmon. Harmon gets it outside to Raines, loose ball, and that one's headed out of bounds. Raines was open, passed just a little bit off the mark, and it's gonna be a turnover. Corey Johnson checking into Khalil Brown. Back to Johnson now. Boiling Springs trying to work some people open. They send it inside to Brown. He should just do it himself. Got it! Khalil Brown on fire so far. 10-8. My apologies. Not 10-7. Well, 12 to 8 now. Spencer Harmon trying to find an open man for Landrum. Drives inside, wants out. Gets it over to, that's Franklin Davis, the freshman. Spent a lot of time on the JV team this year. Getting some time on the varsity roster. And I think they're going to call, yeah, Raines called for traveling there. Takes a layup for Landrum off the board. And the Cardinals may need those 2 points moving forward. It'll be interesting to see if that has any lasting effect on the game. This is Cam Earls driving inside, got fouled. And they are going to call that a shooting foul. Boiling Springs with a chance to extend the lead to 6. 12-8 with 3:22 to play in the first, looking to make it 14-8. And that first shot is good for Earls. And shot number 2 rolls out, rebounded by Noah Weiss. Did a good job keeping that one in bounds. Isaiah Washington tight roping there as well. 3:15 to play in the first. Washington scanning the court, gonna swing it. Oh, thought about going inside, instead gets it over to Franklin Davis. Davis in trouble. And gets called for traveling. Yep. .304 to play now. Landrum down by 5. And the Cardinals making a few more substitutions. Marco Gonzalez and Cooper Gentry back in the game for Landrum. This is Corey Johnson ordering some troops around. He's going to get it over to Khalil Brown. Taken away by Gentry. He read that one the whole way and misses the layup. And Marco Gonzalez puts it in afterward. Down to a 3-point game. Cam Earls gets Boiling Springs right back out in front with a beautiful 3-point shot. Isaiah Washington navigating that defense, now going to slip it out to Marco Gonzalez. Gonzalez trying to find an open man, has Davis, but the pass was high. It gave the defense time to get over there. Now Washington makes a man miss, gets it over to Gonzalez. Gonzalez, oh, has Dugan open on the 3-point line. Got it! And they will count that as a 3-pointer. He was right on the line. Could have gone either way. He took a half step backward, and that was enough. And looks like we got a foul called against Landrum. Now some substitutions for the Cardinals. Washington checks out. Mason Raines will replace him. Boiling Springs ball. And they airmail it down to Khalil Brown. Over to Corey Johnson for the 3. And nice job. I believe that was Cooper Gentry jumping up and getting a hand in the face of Johnson. But we got more whistles. And not entirely sure what that was about because it's staying with Landrum. 1:56 to play in the first. Cardinals down by 3. Oh, yeah, the scoreboard's backwards. Boiling Springs has 16, Landrum has 13. My apologies there. Boiling Springs 16, Landrum 13. Gentry checking in to Mason Rains. Rains going for the long three-pointer right off the bat, and that bounces off the rim. Great rebound there by Franklin Davis. And now Davis under some heat and sends it in with too much heat to Mason Rains. That's going to be yet another turnover by this Cardinal offense. Boiling Springs ahead by 3. Jacob Weber back in the game for the Bulldogs. Khalil Brown flips it over to, that's Earls again. Corey Johnson driving inside, and that one deflected and taken away by Mason Rains. 75 seconds to go. Rains wanted to go for 3, gets it to Franklin Davis, back to Rains. And Rains gonna look for an open man. Now sends it inside to Dugat, and I think Dugat got fouled. Takes a little practice shot there. Yeah, I saw one of those Boiling Springs defenders go right for the ball. That was enough to draw the whistle. Rains checks it in to Gentry, over to Dugat. And now Dugat almost lost it. Thought about passing it to Rains and then second guessed it, and I think Gentry got fouled now. And he did. That's Boiling Springs' 4th foul. 56.7 seconds to go in the first. Still just a 1-possession game. They're going to check it into Dugat, and he's going to flip it over to Gonzalez. And now Gonzalez looking for an opening. And there was another tussle for the ball there. And that's going to be a push against Boiling Springs. 3 consecutive fouls against the Bulldogs. That defense may be getting a little bit antsy here. Sending it inside to Dugat. Dugat gets it over to Gentry. Now over to Davis. Davis driving, and no foul called there. And got an open man down the court, and Corey Johnson able to sink it there. Lead goes back out to 2 possessions. 18-3 with 18 seconds left. This is Gonzalez. Got tripped up. And I think they're going to call a push there against Khalil Brown. And Khalil Brown's going to check out of the game now. 13.4 seconds left, probably the last possession or second to last possession of the period. Cooper Gentry going to check in for the Cardinals. He finds Dugat, who gets it over to Isaiah Washington back in the game now. 10 seconds remaining. Washington taking his time. 4 seconds left. They're going to have to just sling this up there. Yeah, Rains saw the clock. Oh, what a shot! Wow! Just a Hail Mary to end the period. What a shot from Mason Rains. Landrum draws within 2, and they've got some momentum heading into period number 2. 18-16 in favor of the Bulldogs when we come back. All right, ready for second period action. Good many substitutions. I think that was a 5-man sub, yeah, for Boiling Springs. Whole new roster of players in there. We'll get their names as we go. And that one partially tipped, and there's a jump ball. And both teams think they lost it, actually. You can see the Landrum players react negatively to that, and then, oh no, I was looking at the wrong sideline. That was Landrum's coach in disbelief there. Possession arrow is going to go over to Boiling Springs. They'll check in. This is number 23. I believe that's Faley. No 23 listed on this roster, but there's a scratched out number next to Faley, so we assume that's him. Driving inside is 22, Adams. Adams got fouled. No, maybe traveling. Didn't see the call there, but Landrum's going to take over. Noah Weiss now checking in for the Cardinals. Washington flips it to Weiss. Weiss looking around, gets it to Rains, and Rains almost lost it. Nice job to keep it intact, and whistles before the shot. I think they've got a push against Boiling Springs, and they do. Shooting foul, so Mason Rains with a chance to tie the game up here. 2 shots coming up for Landrum. First shot is good, 1-point game. And second shot is good as well, tied game. And Boiling Springs looking around. Faley sends it inside the 21. That's Nails over to number 5, Keenan, and still looking around. And timeout taken by the Bulldogs with 6:59 to play in the second period. Didn't really see anything that required a timeout. Maybe Boiling Springs, yeah, they've got the whiteboard out. They're drawing something up. Landrum is 2. Certainly be interesting to see what they come up with here. Game tied at 18. Landrum looking for their first lead since the opening stages of the first period. Oh, whoa, and a steal by Mason Rains. Boiling Springs gets it back. Nice swat there. Well timed. And now Faley going for the long 3-pointer. No, and rebounded by Ethan Dugat. Mason Rains making his way down the court. Thought about getting to Washington. Now goes inside and got fouled. That'll be foul number 6 for Boiling Springs. Rains with the chance to take the lead here.
2 shots.
First shot is good. Rains 3 for 3, and Landrum has the lead. 2-man substitution. Looks like Gonzalez and Dugat exiting. Spencer Harmon and number 12, Jake Ballou, entering the game. And Mason Rains gives the Cardinals a 2-point lead. Rains 4-4 on free throws. And rebound, second rebound brought in by Boiling Springs. A lot going on there. And now it looks like the Bulldogs have their feet under them a bit. Faley thought about going for 3, ducks inside, now goes for the long 2. No, rebounded by Spencer Harmon. He gets it over to Jake Ballou, and Ballou got fouled. That's Boiling Springs' 7th foul. And I think the referee said 2 shots coming up here for Ballou. 6:17 to play in the second. Ballou's shot, bounces off. And just one shot, rebounded by Bowling Springs, somehow kept it in play. Khalil Brown making his way down the court, flips it over to, that was number 3, Cam Earls. So the starters now back in the game, or most of them, yeah, all of them in for Bowling Springs now. And they're able to retake the lead on that three-pointer there, 21-20, and Landrum gets the rebound, shot was no good, and traveling called against the Cardinals. Possession goes back to Bowling Springs. Khalil Brown will check in. And Ethan Dugat has entered the game. Looks like Noah Weiss exited. 5:48 to play in the second period. And now Cam Earls for the long three, off the mark and rebounded by Isaiah Washington. Washington steps back, gets it to Dugat for another long three, and Dugat almost had that one. He's 2 for 3 on field goals so far, made his first ones. And now driving inside is Jacob Camp, or Julius Camp, excuse me. That one brought back in by Mason Rains. Rains gonna get it to Washington. Washington for 3, got it tied up. Or no, takes the lead. Great shot from Isaiah Washington. 23-21 with 5 minutes to go in the second. Corey Johnson taking a step back to survey the defense. Gets it to Khalil Brown. Khalil Brown motions Julius Camp up for a block. Going for the long 2. No, rebounded by Jake Ballou. Landrum with a chance to go up 2 possessions here. 4:45 to play in the second. Isaiah Washington sends it to Dugat. Dugat looking to get back out. Now tries to box a man out, and they're going to get him for traveling. Patrick Clark going to check in. Jake Ballou checking out for the Cardinals. Cam Earls looking for an open man. Going to send it over to Khalil Brown. Over to Corey Johnson. Now back to Brown. Over to Earls again. Brown directing traffic. Going to drive inside. Catches a block from Camp. Camp set up, and they're going to get him for traveling. And now Mason Rains checking out of the game. He's replaced by Marco Gonzalez. Both teams kind of forgetting the dribble here halfway through the second period. A lot of traveling calls in the past couple of minutes. Isaiah Washington cuts inside. Washington has that shot blocked. Jacob Weber takes it down, and now Cam Earls with the layup, tied game, 23 all. Isaiah Washington headed back down the court, flips it over to Harmon. Harmon for 3, got it! 26-23, Landrum back on top. Earls flips it to Johnson. Johnson inside to Weber, outside to Johnson again. Looking around, catches a block from Camp, almost lost it, gets it to Earls. Earls for 3, short hops it, and out of bounds. Khalil Brown had a shot at it, but couldn't hang on. Ethan Dugat checking out of the game, or no, he's going to check it to Isaiah Washington. Looked like he was headed to the bench there. 3:28 to play in the second. Clock is ticking, and Isaiah Washington taking his time. Gets it to Spencer Harmon. Tries to send it inside to Dugat. Dugat hangs on and got the layup. First 2 possession lead since the early first period, and Bowling Springs almost turned it over there. Instead, Cam Earls gets fouled, and now has a chance for a 3-point play. Back down to a 1-possession game. 28-25 in favor of the Cardinals. The referee's still trying to sort this one out. They haven't put Bowling Springs points on the scoreboard yet. There they go. To make it a 2-point game, Cam Earls from the free throw line. And this one is good. Spencer Harmon checks into Washington. Washington getting some signals from the coach. Now sends it inside to Harmon. Harmon backing away. Going, airmails it over to Washington, and it's taken away by Khalil Brown. Makes a man miss, driving inside, and now Bowling Springs backs off, and Corey Johnson lost the ball. Landrum gets it right back with 2 minutes and 50 seconds to play in the second. Washington, again, taking his time, and they're going to get him with a push there. I didn't really see much. Bowling Springs will take over. That's Landrum's 6th foul. Corey Johnson gets it over to Weber. Weber spins around, has that one taken away, and they're going to get him for traveling anyway. Clark checks it into Washington. Washington gets another leisurely stroll down the court. And now sends it inside. That one's taken away. Washington got to stop Earls. Can't do it. Earls got fouled, and another chance for a three-point play. Tied up now, and Boiling Springs is going to have a chance to take the lead. Both teams at 7 fouls now, too. And Washington going to check out, getting an earful from the coach. Mason Raines replaces him. Just could not stop Cam Earls on that one-on-one streak down the court. And that shot no good. Loose ball and brought back in by Landrum. So game still tied. Marco Gonzalez gets it over to Patrick Clark. And now Mason Raines looking around. Going to try to drive inside. Sends it over to Harmon. And Harmon's got the layup. And now Harmon with a chance for a three-point play. 30-28 with 1:50 left in the period. Franklin Davis getting ready to sub in for Landrum. Jacob Weber checks out of the game for Boiling Springs. Looks like he got replaced by number 30, D. Johnson. Harmon's shot, no good. Still a 2-point game. Oh, but there's a scuffle for it, and brought back in by Boiling Springs. They've got defenders down the court. Khalil Brown doesn't care. He splits them and ties the game up at 30. 90 seconds to play. Ethan Dugat trying to box some men out. Gets it outside to Mason Raines for the long three. Just off the mark, and Dugat tried to get it. Instead, it's going to be Khalil Brown with the easy layup. Boiling Springs now back out in front. 79 seconds to go. Marco Gonzalez taking his time now. Franklin Davis in the game for Landrum. Gonzalez flips it over to Dugat. Dugat thought about going for it. Instead, he's going to flip it outside when he gets a chance. There's Gonzalez. Gonzalez driving. Lost the ball, and they're going to call out a foul against Boiling Springs. 2 shots coming up for Gonzalez. So a shooting foul against the Bulldogs. Gonzalez with a chance to tie it up. 61 seconds to play in the second period. And this first shot is good. 32-31 Bulldogs. And shot number 2 off the mark. Boiling Springs hangs on to the lead. Khalil Brown taking it down the court for Boiling Springs, and I think Franklin Davis knocked that one out of bounds. They'll stop the clock, but not much else happens there. Cam Earls with the ball now. Looking around, flips it over to Khalil Brown. Back to Earls, over to Corey Johnson. Now Johnson looking to get rid of it. Gets it over to Brown, inside to D. Johnson. Now Corey Johnson for the long three-pointer, he's got it! Boiling Springs up by 2 scores. 35-31 with 30 seconds to go in the period. Closing in on halftime now. Landrum now with a lot of urgency. Dugat for the three-pointer, no. Rebounded by Cam Earls. Going to make his way down the field. Can he put Boiling Springs up by 3 possessions? Johnson's going to try it off the mark. 10 seconds to go, and it goes out of bounds. Foul called. Who's it against? I believe Franklin Davis is going to have an opportunity here, and yes, he is. Boiling Springs in the double bonus now. With 8.5 seconds left, not many implications. But Davis will get 2 shots to bring it back within 1 possession. Franklin Davis, the freshman, Spent the first half of the season on the JV roster, and he's got his first shot down to a one-possession game, 35-32. Ethan Dugat checks out. He's replaced by, it looks like, Noah Weiss. For a 2-point game, Franklin Davis. Got it. 8.5 seconds left. Boiling Springs, one last heave. Corey Johnson, no. And that one goes out of bounds. Clock stops with 1.3 seconds left. So now one last heave for Boiling Springs. Khalil Brown will check in, probably going to send a man toward that half-court line. And yeah, Earl's just going to fling it. Almost had it. But that will be the end of the half. Man, what a game. Both teams going back and forth. Neither one giving an inch. 35-33 in favor of Landrum, but this one just as easily could have been 35-33 in favor of Boiling Springs. Could have just as easily been in favor of Landrum. 10 minutes away from the start of the third period, and it cannot come soon enough. Both teams racing toward a thrilling finish back in 10 minutes. All right, and we're back. I hope you're ready for second half action, because I know I am. That was one heck of a start to that game. Both teams, I mean, going absolutely ballistic on both sides of the ball. 35-33, the margin at the half. Where was some defense, some offense, a lot of fouls, a lot of scoring, a lot of turnovers, a lot of everything. Something for everyone to love in those first two periods. Hoping for two more just like it. This one should be a great game that comes right down to the wire. Boiling Springs on top by 2. And right on cue, the camera decides to freeze. Let's go ahead and turn that back on. Hopefully it'll stay put. Starters back in on both sides. It'll be Marco Gonzalez, Mason Raines, Cooper Gentry, Isaiah Washington, and Ethan Dugat for Landrum. Isaiah Washington, the man on the ball right now. Started the third period. Washington looking around, catches a block from Gentry, driving inside and goes around some defenders but can't connect on the layup. Jump ball, and this is going to go to Boiling Springs. Landrum comes up empty-handed on their first possession. Khalil Brown to check in now. Gets it over to Cam Earls of Boiling Springs. 7:40 to play in the third period. Flipping it over to Corey Johnson. Johnson gets it inside to Julius Camp. Camp for the two-pointer. Falls over, and that one ends up going out of bounds. Mason Raines to check in for the Cardinals. No score yet in the third period. Boiling Springs still up by 2. Washington making his way down the court. Now gets it to Dugat. Dugat looking to break away. Now going inside. Shoots and no good. But rebounded by Isaiah Washington. Stepping back for 3. And had a guy headed right for him. And Dugat gets the rebound on the block shot. Got a foul called. Didn't see who it was against. We'll check the signal. And they say Khalil Brown of Boiling Springs. So Ethan Dugat from the free throw line going to have a chance to notch the first points of the third period. 54 seconds in now. Dugat's first shot, no good. And Dugat's second shot, no good as well. So that foul effectively serves as a turnover for Boiling Springs. Still no points so far. Khalil Brown looking to change that. Going to flip it over to Corey Johnson. Johnson wants to throw. Gets it over to Cam Earls. Earls looking for a lane. Gets it over. Corey Johnson now misses. Didn't have a lot of time to set up for that one. Rebounded by Ethan Dugat. Now Isaiah Washington headed down the court. Gets it to Marco Gonzalez. Gonzalez hesitates and got it. First points of the second half. Are able to tie it up for Landrum, 35-35 with 6:30 to play in the third period. Boiling Springs goes inside, and that one knocked away by Isaiah Washington. There was a slight chance that somebody would be able to come down with it, but no dice for Landrum. Corey Johnson to check in for Boiling Springs now. Earls. Foul called against Boiling Springs. I didn't see what the signal was. Austin Fields, number 23, in the game now. And Washington driving, flips it over to Mason Raines. Raines tried to take a step back, wanted to go for 3, couldn't get it. And now Marco Gonzalez sends it over to Washington for the long 3. Got it! What a shot! And I heard whistles. Did we get a timeout? No, it looks like we got a foul against Landrum maybe. I didn't see what that was. Strange. 5:48 to play in the third. Camp checks it into Johnson. Both these teams trying to avoid going winless through day 2 of the tournament. The This is Johnson. Oh, got it taken away by Cooper Gentry. Now Gonzalez making a beeline for the goal. Got it. Landrum cracks 40, up by 2 possessions. And this one taken away by Landrum as well. Gonzalez, 6, another one. We're on a turn of events, and now we got a timeout from Bowling Springs. 9 unanswered by Landrum to start the 3rd period. Been in for almost 3 minutes, and Bowling Springs has yet to score. Cardinal defense playing lights out. 5:14 to play in the 3rd. Back in a moment. Cam Earls looking for an opening, directing traffic, stolen by Cooper Gentry, and stolen right back by Earls. Going for the layup, and got it. First points in the half for Bowling Springs. 42-37, back down to a 5-point lead. Washington spins around, tries to drive inside, now backs off. Looking around, gets it over to Cooper Gentry. Gentry trying to find a man, hands it off to Gonzalez. Gonzalez spinning, no. That one going to be rebounded by number 5, Keenan for Bowling Springs. With a chance to make it a 1-score game. Bowling Springs drives inside, got it. Jacob Weber with the score there. 39-42 now. Bowling Springs with 4 straight. Going inside with Ethan Dugat. Dugat 6th away. Back to a 5-point lead. Halfway through the 3rd period. 4 minutes remaining. Cam Earls steps back outside. Now driving in again. Tries to go for it, and that one's going to come up well short. And rebounded by Dugat. Got it over to Reigns, over to Washington. And Washington booking it down the field. Now slowing down a bit. Gonzalez splits 2 defenders, goes inside, got the layup. Back out to a 7-point lead. Keenan trying to find an opening. Puts it over to Faley. Faley gets it to Cam Earls. Back to Keenan. Back to Faley, and Faley's shot comes up short, and that one goes out of bounds. Ethan Dugat did everything he could to keep it in play. Could not pull it off, though. It'll be Bowling Springs ball on their end of the court. Substitutions for Landrum, Ethan Dugat and Isaiah Washington both exiting. Spencer Harmon and Noah Weiss coming in. Earls finding an open man, and Keenan wide open for the 3-point shot off the back of the rim. And Isaiah Washington didn't check out. He's still in the game and slings it too far. I think it was intended for Weiss. Reigns had the best shot at it. It'll be a turnover, and Bowling Springs will check in. This is going to be Keenan sending it over to Cam Earls. Earls taking his time, finds Keenan. Keenan looking around, gets it to Earls for the bank shot. Got it! Great shot there by Cam Earls. Back down to a 2-possession game. 46-42 with 3 minutes to go in the 3rd. Isaiah Washington flips it to Cooper Gentry. Gentry looking to throw. Got Harmon. Harmon for the 3. No. Comes up short. Rebounded by Keenan. And that one almost taken away by Washington. Keenan able to hang on. Flips it over to Earls. Catches a block from 30, now going long. That one short, rebounded by Johnson. Back to Earls for another 3 attempt. He's got this one. 1-score game, 1-point game. 46-45, Bowling Springs cutting into that lead. Washington flips it over to Harmon. Harmon for the three, and off the mark. He thought he had it. You could tell by the look on his face he thought that one was going in. Bounces off the rim. Now Faley for a three. This one off the mark. Jump ball, and brought in by D. Johnson, who lost it. That one partially deflected, hops out of bounds, but Bowling Springs will hang on to the ball. More substitutions now. Mason Raines and Noah Weiss check out. Ethan Dugat re-enters the game along with Jake Ballou for Landrum. 22 is subbed in for Bowling Springs as well. Under 2 minutes to play in this third period. Cam Earls. 22 driving inside, got the layup, that's Adams. 1:45 now, Bowling Springs recaptures the lead, 47-46. Landrum reeling a little bit. Washington spinning around, gonna go straight inside, almost lost it, and able to put the Cardinals back out in front. Nice recovery there from Isaiah Washington. Bowling Springs looking to retake the lead. Cam Earls for three, off the rim, but rebounded by Weber, and Weber got fouled, I believe. And they're going to call it a shooting foul. Only Landrum's first foul of the second half, coming with 1:18 left in the third period. Both teams playing a very clean half so far. Only the third total foul so far in the third piece. And that first shot is good. Tied game, 48 all. 78 seconds left to play. Gentry exits the game for Landrum. He's replaced by Gonzalez. And the second shot off the mark and rebounded by Gonzalez. Gonzalez flips it over to Washington. Washington for the long three. Oh, just off the mark. Rebounded by Gonzalez. He's going to go for two, and that one off the mark. Jump ball, and eventually brought back in by Bowling Springs. Corey Johnson tried to send it over to Keenan, and Keenan couldn't catch up to it. Hops out of bounds. 59.8 seconds left in the third. Just under 9 minutes to go total. Both these teams looking to avoid going winless through day 2 of the tournament. Bowling Springs at 0-1, Landrum at 0-2. Jake Ballou driving inside, misses, and that one's headed out of bounds. We'll see who they keep this with. Both teams definitely had a shot at that one, and it's going to go to Landrum. More substitutions. Jake Ballou exits. He's replaced by Mason Raines. 42.7 seconds left in the third. Washington trying to find an open man. Sends it inside to Dugat. Sends it up behind his body and sinks it. 50-48 in favor of the Cardinals. This is Adams driving inside. Weber stepped out of bounds. Got him to traveling anyway. 32.8 seconds left. Gonzalez to check in for Landrum with a chance to go up 2 scores. Gonzalez flips it over to Raines. Raines for three, off the mark, and rebounded by Dugat. Gets it over to Raines again, inside for Harmon. Harmon's got the layup! 2-score game, 52-48 with 12 seconds left in the third. Could be the last possession here. Adams gonna drive inside, 6 seconds, 3-point shot for Corey Johnson, off the mark. And Spencer Harmon, no shot to bring it up. Ran out of time. 52-48, Landrum up by 4 heading into the fourth period. Don't go anywhere. We have got, I would say, the best game of the tournament by far to this point. 4-point game when we come back. Both teams going back and forth. I think both teams about to head back out onto the court. I will try to explain the standings here as best I can in the time I've got between quarters. Both these teams have not won a single game through the tournament. Landrum played twice yesterday, lost both their games by a combined 13 points. They were both close, just couldn't finish it off in the end. Bowling Springs, meanwhile, lost by 16 to Riverside at the end of their, to Woodruff, excuse me, at the end of their game. Now, because Landrum lost twice, despite having the lower point differential, they are 7th in the standings. Boiling Springs is 6th. The winner of this game will move up. The loser goes back to last place. Landrum will either be 0-3 or Boiling Springs will be 0-1. If Landrum wins this, they can move up to the 5 spot at 1-2. If Boiling Springs wins, they can move as high as number 3, depending on a couple of different factors. But this one going down to the wire, and that was Corey Johnson able to get Boiling Springs up over 50 for the first points of the 4th period. Mason Raines driving inside. Harmon lost it and brought back in by Dugat. Dugat spins around, goes inside for the layup, no good. Rebounded by Jacob Weber, almost lost it himself. And back to Corey Johnson. 7.5 minutes to play in the 4th. So back to those implications I was talking about. Because the tiebreaker in this tournament is point differential, that meaning that unless one team has an objectively better record than all the other ones, which, again, 7 teams playing 3 or 4 games each, I would imagine that's going to be pretty unlikely unless Woodruff loses tomorrow and Riverside wins. Then it would be over. But moving forward, assuming that we do go to tiebreakers, that point differential is going to be huge. Boiling Springs sitting at -16 right now, but if they can win this game by 24 points, which, I mean, given the way these guys have been going back and forth, I imagine that's very unlikely. But if they can win by actually 22 points, they will go to 1-1 with a +6 point differential and at least tie SCA for 3rd place. If they can win by more than 22, that being 23 or more points, they will move to 3rd with a +7 or higher point differential. But again, both these teams neck and neck. I imagine it's highly unlikely that either team will pull away by that kind of margin moving forward. 52-50 in favor of Landrum. 6:48 to play. Mason Raines going to check in, trying to find a man, gets it over to Dugat. Dugat for 2, was wide open and sinks it. Back out to the 2-score lead for the Cardinals. Corey Johnson making his way down the court for the Boiling Springs Bulldogs and driving inside. Can't get a number there, but he misses. Rebounded by Weber, and Weber misses as well. Rebounded again, and jump ball. Going to go in favor of Boiling Springs. And D. Johnson checks out. He's replaced by, I believe that's Julius Camp. Yes, 24. So all the starters back in for both teams, actually. Corey Johnson going right for the 3-pointer, misses. Rebounded by Keenan, and I think we got a foul there. And this one going against Landrum. So Keenan with 2 shots. First shot is no good. Can still make it a 1-point game. Cooper Gentry checks out for Landrum. He's replaced by Noah Weiss. Gentry favoring that right hand. Could be something to look at. He was holding it on the free throw line. And that shot no good, but rebounded by Boiling Springs. Julius Camp sinks the layup, 2-point game. 54-52 with 6:12 left to play. Landrum leading, but it has been close all game. Biggest lead for either team was 7 points, I believe. Going inside to Dugat. Dugat looking for an open lane, just trying to get away, sends it inside to Gonzalez, and I'm not sure how that wasn't a foul, but Julius Camp ended up with it and had his foot out of bounds when he got the ball. So it's Landrum ball regardless, and now Camp going to exit the game. He's replaced by D. Johnson for Boiling Springs, and this one headed out of bounds. And it'll stay with Landrum. That one batted out by Corey Johnson, I believe. And Landrum is able to check this one in. Mason Raines looking around. Gets it over to Washington, and Washington knocks the man over and can't sink the long 2-pointer. Rebounded by Johnson. who gets it over to Earls. Earls driving down the court, wants it himself, and runs straight into Dugat, and I think we've got 2 shots coming up. Looks like a blocking foul was called against Dugat, and indeed, Earls headed to the line now. With a chance to tie the game, Cam Earls for Boiling Springs. Going to try to knot things up at 54. 5:39 left to play in the 4th. Shot number 1 is good. For the tie. Shot number 2, good as well. Tied game, 54-54. With 5.5 minutes of play in the 4th. Washington goes behind the back, makes Keenan miss, now driving inside, and got the layup for Amless foul. Chance for a 3-point play. Isaiah Washington headed to the free throw line for the Cardinals, 56-54. Going to try to make it 57. Khalil Brown re-enters the game for Boiling Springs. Keenan exits. And Ethan Dugat subbing out for Landrum, replaced by number 15, Spencer Harmon. That first shot is perfect. 57-54 Landrum. D. Johnson checks it in to Cam Earls. Earls gets it over to Khalil Brown. Brown looking, driving, gets it over to Weber. Weber boxing some men out, goes for the long 2 and gets it from outside the paint. 5 minutes to play now. And Washington tried the spin move there, but lost his footing on the tail end of it. Gets called for traveling. Lost the opportunity to dribble as he was trying to regain his balance. So that's a turnover, essentially. Boiling Springs now with a chance to take the lead. Khalil Brown for the long 3, no good, and D. Johnson bats it out of bounds. It'll be Landrum ball. Patrick Clark in the game now for the Cardinals. Patrick Clark, the do-it-all skill player for the Landrum football team. Had a good season on the gridiron. Oh, what a move by Washington going for 3. Got it! 60 points on the board for Landrum. It's a 2-score game. Corey Johnson driving inside, goes for the shot, no. And oh my! Spencer Harmon was headed out of bounds, he sent it back in, and it was blocked by Corey Johnson, but because he was the last one to touch it, it goes back to Landrum anyway. Clock stops at 4:26. Mason Raines checking into Washington. Washington flips it to Raines, back to Washington, inside to Dugat. Dugat looking, gets it to Raines. Raines wanted to go for 3, instead drives inside, looking, no. That's, I think, off the head of D. Johnson. It looks to be okay. Corey Johnson now with the ball. Cam Earls ducks, then, whoa. A lot going on there. Bounced off his shoe at first. He got it back, then fell forward. And they're going to call that a foul against Landrum. 3:53 to go now. Cam Earls with the chance to draw the Boiling Springs Bulldogs back within 1 score. And the Landrum sideline, none too happy with that call. Earls' first shot is good. Back down to a 1-score game, 60-57. Substitution for Boiling Springs. D. Johnson exits. He's replaced by Julius Camp. Shot number 2, good for Earls as well. 60-58. Landrum with the ball. Washington making his way down the court. Just a leisurely stroll, maybe looking to run some clock here. Cooper Gentry back in the game for the Cardinals. All the starters in now. Gentry from inside the paint and puts it in. Back out to a 4-point lead for Landrum. Bowling Springs getting down the field in a hurry, and Corey Johnson sinks that one. Both teams over 60 now. Washington flips it to Gonzalez. Gonzalez from inside the paint, got this one. Back and forth now. Just over 3 minutes to play, and I think we got a timeout called by Bowling Springs. Yeah. 3:05 is where the clock will stop. And they were actually going to count one of Landrum's last shots as a three-pointer. So Landrum up by 5. 65-60 in favor of the Cardinals. Back in a moment. And we are out of that timeout now. 3:05 left to go in the game. 185 seconds to decide a winner here. And, okay, yeah, I thought that was weird. Landrum scores back down to 64. They had it at 65 for one reason or another. Clock ticks below 3 minutes. Earls drives, now flips it over inside to Weber. Back to Earls. Earls wide open, off the mark, and didn't see anything there, but it's going to go to Bowling Springs. 2:52 to play now. Earls sends it over to Camp. Johnson back to Earls, back to Johnson. Now Johnson backing away. This is Khalil Brown flipping it outside. Johnson got the three-pointer. 1-point game. Isaiah Washington in no hurry to get across half court. 2.5 minutes to play in the game. Washington gets it to Gentry. Gentry looking around. Finds Washington. That one almost taken away by Johnson. And Washington for the bank shot. No. Rebounded by... No! Hops out of bounds, and the referee's trying to decide to do what to do with this one. And we got a foul called. And 2 shots coming up for Ethan Dugat. No. Dugat thought he was headed to the foul line. Instead, it's Bowling Springs ball. Cam Earls drives inside, knocks Gentry over. Charging called against Earls. And Gentry going to exit the game for the time being, replaced by Spencer Harmon. And no, they're going to call out a blocking foul against Gentry, actually. Cam Earls at the line. 2:05 to play. Earls with a chance to take the lead. And the shot is good. Tied game, 64-64. Earls has been automatic from the free throw line so far. And Dugat tying a shoe. And the shot is good as well. Bowling Springs back out in front. 2 minutes to play in the game. Landrum down by 1. First time they've trailed in a while. And Mason Raines sets up for the three-pointer off the mark. Had a little too much on it, rebounded by Julius Camp. Cam Earls headed down the court. Raines tried to steal it, couldn't pull it off. Earls misses, rebounded by Harmon. Isaiah Washington making his way down now. Gonna drive inside, wants to do it himself. Got it! Coast to coast for Isaiah Washington. Landrum retakes the lead, and this one rebounded by Washington again. 1:25 to play now. Washington spinning, going for the layup. Got it! Coast to coast again for Washington. Putting the team on his back. 75 seconds to play, still a three-point game. At Landrum sideline getting loud. Khalil Brown sends it inside. Julius Camp for the long two. Got it. Landrum still up by 1. Under 60 seconds now. And Isaiah Washington slowing things down. Really pick up the pace, and timeout called by Landrum. 49.2 seconds left. That was, I think I'm catching on to what they're doing. Landrum, even though they're up by 1, and assuming that Boiling Springs doesn't foul them, this could be the last possession of the game. We'll see if they try to milk some clock or let things play out. Up by 1, but definitely still anyone's game. You can feel the tension brewing in here. It's tough to describe. Everything's just so tense. Stakes. Definitely not a matchup of undefeateds. We unfortunately won't be seeing a matchup of the 2 remaining undefeated teams. Riverside and Woodruff are not slated to play in this tournament. Riverside has Spartanburg Christian Academy tomorrow. That's the first game at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. And then Woodruff has Landrum in tomorrow's main event at 5:30 p.m. Loser of this game goes to last place in the standings. And their tournament hopes will effectively be dashed. And now, nope. Boiling Springs tried to foul him, and now Landrum's going to pick up the pace, flipping it outside to Washington. 40 seconds left now. Or no, that's Mason Raines, gets it to Dugat. And you can tell Landrum wants to burn some clock, but Boiling Springs definitely going for the steal here. And are they going to call that a foul against 12? I didn't see anything. Maybe a little love tap, but they're going to call that a foul. Boiling Springs' 6th foul. Landrum at 7. 30.9 seconds left to play. Spencer Harmon trying to find an open man, gets it over to Mason Raines. Raines backtracking now. Gonna drive over to half court. It's stolen by Corey Johnson, who misses the layup. Are you kidding me? What a turn of events. He had it, and it rolled off the side of the rim. Landrum has the ball with 20.7 seconds, and the Bulldogs can't believe it. Washington was fouled. So now Landrum with the chance to extend the lead. And Washington's shot is good. They have another one, 69-67. Landrum up by 3, but still a 1-score game. 15 seconds to play. Cam Earls flips it over to Khalil Brown. Boiling Springs got to have the three-pointer here. Going to be the last possession of the game. Under 10 seconds to go now. Boiling Springs heaves it up. Corey Johnson misses. Rebounded by Johnson, and he's rebounded by Washington. And he's fouled with 2.4 seconds left. And unless he misses both these shots, that's going to be it. Or he'll only get one shot, excuse me. But The odds really stacked against Boiling Springs now. They're going to have Washington miss this shot, and even if he does, they'll only have 2.4 seconds to rebound it, and that one goes in. That'll do it. Landrum going to move to 1-2. Boiling Springs going to drop to 0-2. The only winless team remaining in the tournament now. And seeking the second shot just for good measure. Boiling Springs going to have one last heave. And are you kidding me? He made that? Corey Johnson misses a layup, misses the second to last three-pointer of the game, and makes a half-court shot to make the final score 72-70. Landrum with the win. And if you'll give me just a moment, I can get the stats figured up. Landrum's going to move up to 6th place. They will swap spots with Boiling Springs. Not a ton of implications overall, but still interesting to note. Both teams going to need a lot of help to win the tournament. They'll need chaos at the top. Actually, no, because Riverside and Woodruff only have one game left. Landrum and Boiling Springs both mathematically eliminated by virtue of having 2 losses. But still, they can have a high ranking. Landrum won that game by 2. That'll move their point differential through 3 games to -11. Boiling Springs' point differential through 2 games drops to -18. So that's going to do it. If you stuck around for the end of that one, man, that was far and above the best game we've seen over the course of this tournament. That was an excellent display of basketball, and it's a real shame that one of those teams had to lose because they both played their tail off right up until the final buzzer. So the standings moving forward. Riverside still in first place with a point differential of +50, winning their games by an average of 25 points. They are 2-0 with a matchup against SCA, ranked at number 3 tomorrow. Woodruff in the number 2 slot, 2-0 with a +28 point differential. SCA 1-1 with a +6. Powdersville 1-1 with a -14 at number 4. Ranked 5th is Chapman, 1-2 with a -43 point differential after getting blown out by Riverside in the 3rd game today. Landrum moves up to number 6, 1-2 with a I got that wrong. Landrum moves up to number 5 with a -11 point differential. Chapman drops to number 6 with a -43 point differential. The differential separating those 2 teams, Landrum -11, Chapman -43, and then Boiling Springs, last place in the tournament, has not won a game yet. 0-2 with a -18 point differential. They play number 3 SCA tomorrow. SCA, Spartanburg Christian Academy has 2 games coming up. We're going to do the same thing that we did today for tomorrow's games. The first 3 games are going to be streamed on Chapman's YouTube channel. Chapman plays at 12:30 p.m. against Powdersville. Again, first 3 games are going to be on Chapman's YouTube channel, and then the main event tomorrow, Woodruff playing against Landrum in the last game. That'll be Woodruff's last chance to top Riverside for overall point differential and maybe take home the hardware. They'll be going up against a Cardinal team with a lot of momentum at 5:30 p.m. on Landrum's channel. 5:30 p.m. on Landrum's channel. We will get those streams set up, links sent out later tonight as soon as possible. But until then, enjoy the rest of your evening. I'm Luke Ruff signing off for Spartanburg School District 1 Athletics. I'd like to thank the men at the top here, Mike Gentry, the athletic director at Landrum, Jason McCraw at the district office, and Dr. Ron Garner, superintendent of Spartanburg District 1, for helping make all this possible. That'll do it for day 2 of the Battle at the Border Tournament. Tune in tomorrow for more games. We'll see you then.